Hey everyone, as we all know, New Year is celebrated all over the world on January 1st. We ring in the new year with fireworks, parties, and maybe a slightly misguided sense of hope that this year will be the one where we finally keep all of our resolutions. But have you ever thought about why the new year starts in January and not in March or April? Why not celebrate in September with the changing leaves or in June with the start of summer? We were just kind of collectively decided that a cold, dark day in the middle of winter was the perfect time for a fresh start. Why is that? That's what we're going to be exploring today. And it's also the launch of a brand new series here on the channel called Daily Dates. Over the coming weeks and months, we're going to be diving deep into the history and significance of different dates celebrated around the world. I'll be posting daily videos, so make sure to subscribe to my channel and like my videos to get this amazing content. So, January 1st, it's when we celebrate new beginnings, set resolutions we'll probably abandon by February, and nurse the mother of all hangovers. But this whole January 1st thing, it wasn't always a foregone conclusion. In fact, for much of human history, different cultures celebrated the new year at different times throughout the year. Some marked it with the spring equinox, a time of rebirth and growth, while others celebrated with the fall harvest, a time of abundance. The idea of January 1st being the start of the year is a surprisingly recent invention, at least on a grand historical scale. We're talking just a few thousand years here, which in the grand timeline of humanity is basically like deciding to get bangs on a whim. And here's the even wilder part. There's no real scientific reason for it. It's not like the Earth suddenly decides to hit a cosmic reset button on January 1st. Our planet spins indifferent to our calendar-based anxieties. So how did we end up on this date? Well, blame it on the Romans, as we so often do. They too experimented with different New Year dates. March was a popular choice for a while because it was named after Mars, the god of war, and they were all about that military life. But eventually they settled on January, and that's a story for our next chapter. Like many things in Western civilization, we can trace our current New Year's Day back to the ancient Romans. Specifically, we can thank or blame, depending on your perspective, Julius Caesar and his desire for, well, order. You see, before Caesar came along, the Roman calendar was a bit of a mess. It was based on lunar cycles, which, as anyone who has ever dealt with a werewolf or a particularly moody teenager can tell you, can be a bit unpredictable. This meant that the calendar was constantly falling out of sync with the seasons, which was a big problem for a society that relied heavily on agriculture. Enter Julius Caesar, stage left, with a toga and a dream, a standardized solar-based calendar. In 45 BC, he introduced the Julian calendar, which, with a few tweaks here and there, is pretty much the calendar we still use today. And guess what? He decided that January 1st would be the official start of the year. Now, Caesar wasn't just picking a date out of a hat. January is named after Janus, the Roman god of beginnings, transitions, and doorways. Janus is often depicted with two faces, one looking to the past and one to the future, which is pretty fitting for a time of year when we reflect on the year gone by and look ahead to what's to come. So, thanks to Caesar and his love of order, and maybe a little bit of divine inspiration from Janus, January 1st became the official start of the year in the Roman world, and that tradition, well, it kind of stuck. Now, even though the Gregorian calendar, a slightly refined version of the Julian calendar, is used in many parts of the world today, the way people celebrate New Year's Day is incredibly diverse. Each culture has its own unique traditions and customs, which makes this holiday so fascinating. For some, it's a time for massive parties and public displays of revelry. Think Times Square in New York City with its iconic ball drop and confetti-filled celebrations, or Sydney Harbour in Australia where fireworks light up the sky above the Opera House. These events bring together people from all walks of life to collectively usher in the new year with a bang. Others prefer more intimate gatherings with family and friends. They might share a special meal, exchange gifts, or simply enjoy each other's company as they reflect on the past year and look forward to the next. And then there are the more unusual traditions. In Spain, it's considered good luck to eat 12 grapes at midnight, one for each stroke of the clock. In Denmark, people smash plates on their friends' and neighbors' doorsteps for good luck. Hopefully they're using old plates. And in some South American countries, people wear brightly colored underwear on New Year's Eve, with each color representing a different wish or desire for the coming year. Chapter 4. Pakistan and Afghanistan, a nation of January babies. Now let's zoom in on a couple of countries where New Year's Day celebrations might seem a little familiar, yet have their own unique twist: Pakistan and Afghanistan. In these countries, January 1st is widely recognized as the start of the new year, just like in many other parts of the world. But here's a fun fact. If you meet someone from Pakistan or Afghanistan and their birthday is on January 1st, there's a good chance they weren't actually born on that day. No, I'm not saying they're time travelers or hiding some secret about their age. It's just that in these regions, where birth registrations weren't always as common or accessible, particularly in the past, January 1st often served as a convenient placeholder date. Imagine trying to remember dozens of birthdays throughout the year. It's tough, but January 1st, that's easy. So it became a common practice to simply register births that occurred in the weeks or even months leading up to the new year as having happened on January 1st. This made record-keeping a bit simpler, even if it meant a lot of people ended up sharing the same birthday. Now, this doesn't mean birthdays aren't celebrated at all. Chapter 5. China. When one new year just isn't enough. Let's travel now to China, a country with a rich history and its own calendar system that makes things very interesting when it comes to New Year celebrations. While January 1st is recognized as a public holiday in China, it's not actually their New Year celebration. You see, China also celebrates Chinese New Year, also known as Lunar New Year or Spring Festival, which is arguably the most important holiday in Chinese culture. This celebration is tied to the lun-solar calendar, which means it follows the cycles of both the moon and the sun. As a result, Chinese New Year falls on a different date each year, usually sometime between late January and mid-February. The festivities surrounding Chinese New Year are truly spectacular. They last for about 2 weeks and are marked by vibrant parades featuring elaborate dragon and lion dances, delicious feasts with family and friends, and the giving of red envelopes filled with money. So while January 1st might be a day for a bit of rest and relaxation in China, it pales in comparison to the excitement and cultural significance of Chinese New Year. It's a testament to the country's unique heritage and the importance of honoring traditions that have been passed down through generations. Chapter 6. Japan, a time for quiet reflection and sumo wrestling. Our next stop takes us to Japan, where New Year's Day, known as Shogatsu, is one of the most important holidays of the year. It's a time for families to come together, reflect on the past, and welcome the future with hope and optimism. One of the most beautiful traditions in Japan is Hatsuhi no De, the first sunrise of the new year. People wake up early and gather at high vantage points, such as mountaintops or beaches, to witness the first rays of sunlight as they paint the sky in hues of orange, pink, and gold. It's a moment of quiet contemplation and a reminder of the beauty and renewal that each new day brings. Another important custom is Hatsumoda, the first visit to a Shinto shrine or Buddhist temple of the year. People pray for good fortune, health, and happiness in the coming year and make offerings to the deities. Many also purchase omamori, which are small amulets believed to provide good luck and protection, but it's not all quiet reflection and spiritual contemplation in Japan. Shogatsu is also a time for feasting, games, and entertainment. People enjoy traditional New Year's foods like osechi ryori, an elaborate assortment of small, beautifully presented dishes, each with a symbolic meaning. And for those who prefer a bit more action, there's always the excitement of kakizomi, the first calligraphy writing of the year, and the thrill of watching the first sumo wrestling tournament, which is a major event on the Japanese sporting calendar. Now let's venture north to Russia, where New Year's Day is celebrated with a fervor and enthusiasm that rivals Christmas in many Western countries. It's a time for family, friends, and of course, a feast that would make even the most dedicated foodie blush. The heart of the Russian New Year's celebration is the New Year's Eve feast known as Novogodny Stol. This isn't just a casual get-together with a few snacks. We're talking about a multi-course extravaganza featuring traditional Russian dishes such as Olivier salad, a potato salad with pickles and mayonnaise. Trust me, it's delicious. Dressed herring and blini, which are thin pancakes often served with caviar and sour cream. But wait, there's more. No Russian New Year's celebration would be complete without a visit from Ded Moroz, or Grandfather Frost, and his granddaughter Snegorochka, also known as the Snow Maiden, similar to Santa Claus. Ded Moroz delivers gifts to children on New Year's Eve, but instead of a sleigh pulled by reindeer, he travels in a troika, a traditional Russian carriage drawn by 3 horses. And here's where things get really interesting, because Russia uses the Julian calendar for its Orthodox Christian holidays. They also celebrate what's known as the Old New Year on January 13th. So they essentially get 2 New Year's celebrations, which, let's be honest, is a pretty great deal. Our journey now takes us to Saudi Arabia, a country where New Year's Day, as we know it, isn't widely celebrated. As a predominantly Muslim nation, Saudi Arabia follows the Islamic calendar, also known as the Hijri calendar. This lunar calendar consists of 12 months and a total of either 354 or 355 days, which means it's about 11 days shorter than the Gregorian calendar. Because the Islamic calendar is based on lunar cycles, the start of the Islamic New Year, marked by the month of Muharram, falls on a different date each year according to the Gregorian calendar. It's a time for reflection, prayer, and remembrance of the Hijra, the Prophet Muhammad's journey from Mecca to Medina. While New Year's Day itself isn't a major celebration in Saudi Arabia, it's still a fascinating example of how different cultures mark the passage of time and the importance of understanding and respecting those differences. For our final 2 stops on this New Year's Day adventure, we're going to visit 2 countries that have chosen to imbue January 1st with their own unique historical significance: Haiti and Sudan. In Haiti, January 1st isn't just New Year's Day, it's also Independence Day. On this day in 1804, Haiti declared its independence from France, marking a pivotal moment in history as the first independent nation in Latin America and the Caribbean founded by enslaved people. So for Haitians, January 1st is a day of immense national pride, a celebration of freedom and self-determination. Similarly, Sudan celebrates its own independence on January 1st. On this day in 1956, Sudan gained independence from Anglo-Egyptian rule, marking the end of a long struggle for autonomy. These shared celebrations of independence on New Year's Day serve as powerful reminders that history is not a monolith. Different cultures and nations have their own stories to tell, their own struggles and triumphs, and their own unique ways of marking the passage of time. Now, you might think that January 1st is just a day for recovering from the previous night's festivities, but throughout history, this date has also witnessed some pretty significant events. Some brought joy and progress, while others brought challenges and reminders of the world's complexities. Let's start with a momentous occasion for Europe: the introduction of the euro on January 1st, 1999. This single currency replaced the national currencies of 12 European Union member states, marking a major step towards European integration and economic unity. On a slightly more technical note, January 1st, 2000 brought about the infamous Y2K bug, also known as the Millennium Bug. Remember all the panic about computers potentially malfunctioning because they couldn't handle the transition from the year 1999 to 2000? Yeah, that was the thing. And more recently, on January 1st, 2024, a powerful earthquake struck the Noto Peninsula in Japan. The quake, which had a magnitude of 7.6, caused widespread damage and tragically resulted in loss of life. These events, both positive and tragic, serve as reminders that even on a day often associated with new beginnings, history continues to unfold in all its complexity. So there you have it. That's a wrap on why January 1st is celebrated as New Year and how different countries observe this day. From the Roman god Janus to the Chinese New Year, from Haitian Independence Day to the Y2K bug, we've explored the multifaceted history and traditions associated with this seemingly simple date. But this is just the beginning of our journey through time and cultures. Don't forget to subscribe and like for more daily insights on important dates around the world. We'll be exploring everything from ancient festivals to modern holidays, uncovering the stories and traditions that connect us all. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those curiosity gears turning.